Hello, and welcome to my final yoga teacher training recording of this yoga teacher training. I'm so honored to be here right now, and I'm so excited, and I'm so nervous, but I'm mostly excited right now for this moment. Before we begin our practice, I'd just like you to take a comfortable seated position. You can sit on your sit bones. You can place 2 blocks under your knees, or you can have your feet crossed close to you, or your feet crossed wide, or you could also take your blocks a long way with a leg on either side of the block, sitting on the blocks, connecting. Back upright, head neutral, shoulders relaxed. You can take your hands to your thighs, or you can connect your thumb to your index finger with palms facing up. You can soften your eyes or close your eyes, and you can deepen your breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Just beginning to connect your mind with your breath, with your body. As we take these inhales and exhales, I would like for you to begin to notice where you are today in this journey. What has brought you to your mat? What keeps you coming back to your mat? What keeps you away from your mat? Just notice. Notice the thoughts you tell yourself. Notice. Notice the way you feel in your body today. As we go through our practice today, it is the intention of the class to begin to open your hearts. Open our hearts to the possibility of newness, of change, of discovery. My journey of yoga had hopes and intentions that here today, this would be my end point. But what I've discovered throughout this journey is that yoga is an everlasting journey. And I'm simply not at the end of my journey, but I'm simply at the beginning. And I'm so grateful to be at this beginning point with all of you. I'm so grateful that I've been given this opportunity to learn, to teach, to discover. And I hope as you go on through your journey today, in days to come, in years to come, that you never lose that inspiration, that hope to discover, to learn. There will be ups and downs to your journey, but I must encourage you to just push on through. Because through those changes, those ups and those downs, that is where the journey and the light comes from. The perseverance to continue. Gently opening your eyes, letting the light in. We're going to begin our yoga session today at the back of our mat. In a child's pose, a wide-legged child's pose. Knees wide to each side of the mat, sitting back onto our heels Connecting our forehead to the ground. Connecting our breath. Inhaling through our nose. Exhaling through our nose. Creating the Ujjayi breath. The fogging the mare noise, the ocean breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. Extending our arms out wide. Gripping our fingertips into the ground, bringing our shoulders to our ears. We inhale. And we exhale. Inhale. Exhale. On our next inhale, we take our hands and we move our right hand to the right and our left hand to the right, and we're extending our side body here. Feeling this extension from our hands all the way to our hip line. Opening our side body, allowing the breath to flow. Inhaling into our side body. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. One last breath. Inhale. And exhale. Moving our arms to the opposite direction, the left side. We bring our arms to the wide left side, opening our right side of the body. Directing our breath. Feeling the stretch. From our arms to our hips. Allowing the breath to flow. Noticing our breath. Noticing our body. Bringing our hands back to center. Coming up to all fours, hands and knees with a neutral spine. Tucking our toes, dropping our belly. Looking up to the sky. Inhale and exhale, rounding our back, looking towards our navel. We're taking a cat pose. Inhale, dropping our belly, looking up. Cow pose. Exhale, rounding our back, looking towards our navel, our belly button. Cat pose. Inhale, dropping our belly, looking up. And exhale, cat pose with a round of the back. With the toes tucked, coming up, lifting our knees, coming to our first down dog. Taking our little puppy dog here for a walk. We're gonna bend our knees left and right. You can turn your hips side to side. Whatever you need in this moment, I just want to invite you to do what your body calls for. While inhaling and exhaling. Making sure in this down dog that we're bringing our shoulders to our ears, not to impinge our muscles. Lifting our heels, looking towards the front of our mat. Taking our right foot in between our hands. Dropping our left knee to the ground. Rising up, arms by our side in a cactus pose. We stay here, bringing our heart forward, looking up towards the sky, beginning the process of opening our heart, opening our mind. We bring our hands back to our mat, bring our right leg back. Lifting our heels, rolling over to a plank position, dropping our knees, lowering our chest down, our body down, placing our hands by our side in front, parallel to one another. Lifting our chest up, bringing our heart forward. We find ourselves in Sphinx pose. Taking a moment here to breathe. Lowering down a little bit if you need to. And on the inhale, rising. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, bringing your head and heart down. Placing our hands by our chest, coming up to all fours, hands and knees. We find ourselves in a neutral spine, tucking our toes, lifting our hips. We're back in downward dog. Taking our left foot in between our hands, lowering our right knee to the ground. You can take your mat if this is too much pressure on your knees, rolling up your mat. We're in a low lunge, hands to our knees, bringing our arms to a cactus position, bringing our heart forward, beginning the journey of opening our heart. We pause here for an inhale and an exhale. Inhale and exhale. Bringing our hands back to our mat, return our mat to a normal position. Taking our left leg back. Staying on hands and knees, bringing our chest towards the front of the mat, lowering down, chaturanga. Interlacing our hands to our low back, bringing our shoulders to our ears, extending our arms outward, lifting our heart, bringing our heart forward. We rise, a cobra with extended arms. On the exhales, you can release down. And on the inhales, rise your heart, pulling your heart forward. Exhale, release. Inhale, pulling your heart through, looking up. And exhale, release. Placing our hands on either side of our chest. Coming up to all fours, hands and knees, neutral spine. Tucking our toes, lifting our hips. Coming to our downward dog. Shoulders to ears. Pushing down into our hands. Pushing down into our heels if possible. Finding our first spot of rest. Our first spot of pause. Noticing what we are beginning to create within our body, within our mind. Creating a smile here upon our face in this downward dog. being grateful for this moment, being grateful for this practice. Taking a moment to breathe, we inhale. And we exhale. Lifting our heels up, stepping our foot one step, one moment at a time, as slow as you can go, walking to the front of our mat, step by step, finding ourselves at the front of our mat in a forward fold, lengthening our legs, lengthening our spine, activating our calves, touching our calves, activating our hamstrings, touching our hamstrings. Taking our hands to our low back, like we did in our cobra. Bringing our shoulders to our ears, extending our arms upward, folding deeper, activating our legs deeper, breathing, inhaling, exhaling. Bringing our hands to our hips in slowly, one vertebrae at a time, arching our back, rising up. Coming to our first Tadasana, mountain pose. Noticing, observing our breath, our mind, our attitude. With our hands by our side, we rise them up, connecting our hands to the top if possible. Modification, taking our hands wide apart at our ears, shoulders rising upwards, looking upwards, bringing our heart forwards. We forward fold as we lower down. Forward fold. On the inhale, we halfway lift. We bring our back to a neutral spine. And we exhale, we forward fold. Inhale, stepping our left foot to the back of our mat. With our right leg here, we're in low lunge, runner's lunge. Keeping our knees off the mat this time. Pressing down into our back foot. Pressing back into our front foot. Pressing down into the heel of our front foot. Pressing our big toe and pinky toe into the mat. Really activating your quads here. Keeping our hands on the ground but lightly connected so that if we wanted to, we could lift up our arms. We should be putting our effort into our legs right now, waking them up. Putting our hands to the mat, stepping our right foot back, lowering down, chaturanga. Exhaling on the chaturanga. Inhaling, pulling our heart forward, upward facing dog. Exhale, lowering down. Tucking our toes, pushing through our hands with a bending our knees and rising our hips. We're in downward facing dog. Another moment to notice what our practice is doing for us. Notice how we're starting to wake up within our body. Notice how we're connecting our breath and our mind as we begin to open our hearts. Breathing. looking to the front of our mat, raising our heels up. On the exhale, step or hop to the front of your mat. When you get there, we forward fold. On the exhale, inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising to the top, arms raised up, look up, connecting our hands, bringing our hands to heart. Taking a moment to take a breath in and a breath out. On the next inhale, we rise our arms up, we look up. We exhale, we forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, neutral spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stepping our right leg to the back of our mat. We're in runner's lunge, hands connect to the ground. Pressing down in our front leg, in our front foot, pressing down in our heel, activating our quads. Lightly being able to take our hands off the mat if possible. If not, keeping ourselves safe and balanced by keeping our hands connected to the ground. Rising our hips if possible. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping our left foot back. We find ourselves in a plank position, which we lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, pulling our heart through, upward facing dog, or cobra. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, pushing up, bending our knees, lifting our hips. Downward facing dog. Connecting with our breath. Connecting with our mind. Are you getting sweaty? Are you glistening? Are you sparkling? Just noticing. Is your breath getting any heavier? Or wow, are you in good shape? Either way, just notice. Lifting our heels, looking to the front of the mat, step or hop. On the exhale, on the inhale, we're gonna halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up, bringing our arms up with us. Looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, we begin again. We rise our arms up, we look up. Exhale, forward fold. Emptying the breath. Inhale, halfway lift, neutral spine. Exhale, hands to the mat. With both legs, you can step or hop back. In plank pose, we're going to lower down to chaturanga. On our exhale and on an inhale, we're going to bring our chest through, opening our chest. Extended cobra. Exhale, lowering down. Hands remaining by our side. Pushing up, knees bent, lifting our hips. Downward facing dog. Here we reconnect with our breath. Here, we take a moment to notice. Checking in with our shoulders, making sure we're pressing them towards our ears so that we don't impinge our shoulders. Making sure our hands are very active, pushing into the ground as well as our feet. Notice that even in these pauses, work can be done. On our next exhale, just notice. Inhale, lifting our heels, looking to the front of our mat. Step or hop to the front of your mat on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to the sun. Arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Taking this moment to pause. Taking this moment to notice. On our next inhale, we're rising our arms up. We're bending our knees. We are in chair pose here. Activating our butt, activating our quads by pushing into our heels, almost as to spread this mat side to side, really activating the sides of our legs, the tops of our legs, our buttocks right here. If this is enough for you right here, then stay here. If you want a little bit more, we rise our arms up. We look up. We inhale. And we exhale. Inhale. And we exhale. Inhale. And we exhale, forward fold. Emptying the breath. On the inhale, we halfway lift, neutral spine. Exhale, placing the hands back, stepping our left leg back to the back of our mat. We find ourselves here in runner's lunge again. This time, pressing our weight into our front heel, lifting our fingers off of the mat, rising up from runner's lunge, a low lunge, to a high lunge. Maintaining the bend in our knee. Pushing back into the ball of our foot of our back leg. Hands to our side, opening our chest, cactus arms. Extending our arms, pulling our heart forward, opening our heart. We breathe. Opening our heart, feeling the sensations in our back, feeling the sensations in our side body. Bringing our arms back to cactus with a bend in each elbow. Releasing our hand to the ground, stepping our right foot back, lowering down, chaturanga. Pulling our heart through, looking up. Exhale, lowering down. Connecting our feet into the ground, pushing up, bending our knee. Downward facing dog. Lifting our left leg. Bringing our left leg through. We find ourselves in a low lunge here. Again, fingers to the mat. Connecting our front heel and our front big toe, our front big toe mound to the ground. putting our weight into our front foot so that we can rise from a low lunge to a high lunge. Bending our arms, opening our heart, cactus arms. Extending these cactus arms, bringing our heart forward, bringing the sides of our body, opening them up, bringing our breath to the sides of our body and to our heart to open, to breathe. Bringing a bend into our arms, reconnecting our hands to the mat, stepping our left leg back, lowering down, chaturanga. Exhaling, inhaling, pulling our heart through, looking up, opening our heart, and exhale, release. Tucking our toes, pushing up through our arms, bending our knees, lifting our hips. We find ourselves in downward facing dog, where we take this moment to notice our breath, our mind, our shoulders, our heels. Are we working? Are we pausing? Just notice. On your next inhale, lifting your heels, looking to the front of your mat, step or hop. On the exhale, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising to the top of our mat. Hands up, looking up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, rising up, bending our knees, arms above our head, looking up. We find ourselves in chair pose. Holding this chair pose. Breathing into this chair pose. Putting the weight into our heels, spreading the mat below our feet. Breathing in and exhale, releasing. Inhale, halfway lifting, neutral spine. Exhale, hands to the mat, stepping our left leg back. This time, bringing our left leg a little closer to than when in lunge pose. We're gonna do a warrior one. So you want your left back foot on a slight angle so that you connect to the mat. If you can't fully connect the heel, that is okay. Keeping this bend in your right leg, keeping our hips face forward. Bend in the right knee. Taking our hands in front of us, interlacing our hands and rising. Bringing our shoulders up. Warrior one. If you have any shoulders issues that is not comfortable to bring your hands above connected like this, you can just keep them parallel and to the side. And another modification is just putting them on your hips like so. Making sure that our hips face forward. And exhale, bringing our hands to the mat, stepping back. At this point, we have done a lot of chaturangas. So if you feel yourself tired, know that you can come here to your knees and lower down. And also know that if at any point you want to skip the chaturanga, that is absolutely okay, okay? So just to encourage taking care of yourself right now, I'm gonna place my knees to the mat and lower down for the chaturanga. Inhale, bringing our heart through, looking up. And exhale, forward fold. Forward fold, release down to the mat. Tucking our toes. Another modification, we can push up and go to our downward facing dog as we have been, but you could just push up to our knees. Really never leaving the mat right here. And just rise our hips up to downward facing dog. Only you know where you're at right now, and I want you to push yourself, but I don't want you to break yourself. So just notice where you are, and notice what you need. And know that you can always come back, and you can always push yourself later in this class. So if you need a break right now, feel free. Taking our left foot in between our hands, bringing our right foot inwards with a slight turn to the right side of our mat. Keeping our hips forward, rising up into warrior one. Again, connecting our arms at the top or keeping them parallel. Bringing our heart forward, our hips forward, opening. Bringing our breath to the sides of our body in this warrior one. Noticing the line of energy from our fingertips all the way to our feet. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Bringing our hands to our mat. Stepping our left foot back. Coming to plank pose with knees to the ground or not. Lowering down, chaturanga. Inhale, pulling our heart through. Cobra pose or upward facing dog. Upward facing dog, you can lift your knees off the mat slightly. Relaxing, lowering down. Inhale, pushing up to all hands and knees or to plank. If your knees are connected to the mat, tucking our toes. If not, keeping our toes tucked, slight bend in the knees, lifting our hips, downward facing dog. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, lifting our heels, looking to the front of our mat, step or hop. And the exhale, inhale, halfway lift, neutral spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising to the top. Looking up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Starting again at Tadasana pose, mountain pose, hands by our side. Bending our knees, lifting our arms up, looking up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, neutral spine, flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step or hop back. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, pulling our heart through, looking up. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale, pushing up to plank pose, bending our knees, rising our hips, taking our right foot in between our hands. We find ourselves in low lunge. We're gonna rise up, turning our left back foot out, keeping the bend in our knee. We find ourselves in our first warrior two. Arms extended, both front and back. Keeping them in line with one each other. We don't want our arms too high and we don't want our arms too low. We want them in line with our shoulders. Looking over our front hand, middle finger. Breathing. Our hips should be facing. We get our right foot up front. Our hips should be facing towards the left side of our mat. You can check in with your leg. You can put your hand on the outside of your right leg. And you just want to connect with that knee, pushing our hand into our knee and our knee into our hand. Making sure we're keeping our integrity in the bend and the pressure of our right foot. Taking our front hand, reversing our hand so that our hand is supinated. Reversing our arm, bringing it back. Taking our left arm, bringing it down our left leg. Opening the side of our body right here, bringing the breath in this reverse warrior. Breathe in, exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Checking in with that front knee, making sure you're keeping it bent. Inhale, bringing our hands, cartwheeling down to the mat. Stepping our right foot back, lowering down, chaturanga. Exhale, inhale, bringing our heart through, looking up. And exhale, releasing down. Pushing through our hands and our toes, rising up, bending our knee, bringing our hips up, taking our left foot in between our hands, rising up, opening up our back right foot so that our hips are now faced the right way. Keeping this knee bent, checking with our knee, making sure that it's bent, making sure we take our left hand, pushing into our left hand, pushing into our knee, and then we can rise our arms up. Warrior two. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. When our hands are in this position, our hands are pronated. We are going to supinate our hands, our front one in particular. We're going to rise our left arm up, bring our right arm down our leg. We're going to reverse this warrior. Your breath should be brought from our fingertips all the way to our side body, to our hips. We have felt this breath before when we were in our child's pose, extending from side to side. One side is open, one side is closed. Inhale, exhale, bringing our hands to the mat. Stepping our left leg back. Lowering down, chaturanga. You can bring your knees to the mat if need be. Lowering down, and you exhale. Inhale, rising our heart through cobra. And releasing. Tucking our toes, pushing through our hands, lifting, rising, downward facing dog. Inhaling, exhaling. Pausing. Noticing. Our breath, our mind, our attitude. Bringing our shoulders to our ears. You can turn your head here, side to side, just kind of loosening it up. Inhaling, lifting our heels, looking in between our hands, step or hop to the front of our mat on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bending our knees, rising our arms up. We find ourselves in chair pose. And exhale, release. Take a moment here to pause. Take a moment here to breathe. Inhale, bending our knees, rising our arms up. Again, in chair pose. We're here. This time in our chair, we're going to bring our hands to heart center. We're going to take our left elbow and bring it across so that our left elbow connects across our right leg. This is a twisted chair. In this twisted chair, your left leg most likely is going to want to pop out like this, but I'm going to encourage you to keep your knees as neutral and as close as possible to parallel, as close as possible to parallel. The twist should come within your back, within your chest. So your chest should be facing the wall. And see that knee, how that wants to pop out? Putting our weight into our right foot, lifting our left foot, bringing it back. We are here in a twisted lunge. Rising up, high lunge, opening up, warrior two. Keeping that bend in your knee, checking in with it. Interlacing our hands behind our low back, bringing our shoulders, rising them up to our ears, extending our arms back and forward folding. We're in a humble warrior position. Inhale, rising up, bringing our left leg in a little bit closer, straightening our right leg, taking our right arm and reaching as far out as possible, and then lowering our arm down. This is a triangle pose. You can take blocks in this pose. And as you, again, straighten our right leg, reach our right arm out, and bring our hand to the block or to your shin. You can open your chest to the left side wall and bring your left arm up. And breathe here. Bringing our left arm to the ground, putting our block to the side. Bringing our left knee to the mat. Taking our right knee to meet the mat. You can take your blocks here just to help you get up, or if you can just get up from this position, totally cool. So our hips are facing forward just like they did in Warrior One. Our hips by our side, our hands on our hips. Sorry, our hips by our side. You can take our blocks outward. We're gonna take our right arm up, extend it to the sky, and then we're gonna take our right arm to our heel. Our left arm is going to rise. We're in half camel. Making sure our hips remain forward. Extending our arm back, noticing the side body, noticing our breath. One side feels open, one side feels closed. Inhale and exhale. Bringing our left hand back, bringing our right hand up to our hip. Sitting back into our child's pose. Arms extended. Coming up to all four, hands and knees. Tucking our toes with the bending our knees, lifting our hips. Downward facing dog. Walking our feet to the front of our mat. When we get to the front of our mat, taking peace sign fingers underneath our big toes and forward folding. Using our fingers to pull us closer, further, deeper into our forward fold. Breathing. Bringing our hands to our hips, rising up. Hands by our side, Tadasana. Inhale, rising our arms up, bending our knees. We find ourselves again in our chair pose. We twisted to the right, so now we're going to twist to the left. Hands to heart center. Bringing our hands to heart center. Taking our right elbow across. Keeping that right knee in line. Opening our chest to the left side of the room. Twisting. Breathing. Noticing our breath, our mind. Putting our weight into our left foot, dragging our right foot back. Keeping our twisted lunge here. Inhale, rising up, high lunge. Opening up, warrior two. Checking in with our knee. Connecting our hands behind our back at our low back. Bringing our shoulders to our ears, extending our arms and forward folding. Humble warrior. Rising up. Taking our right foot, bringing it back, bringing it closer. Taking our hips to the front of the mat, facing forward. Straightening our left leg, extending our arm over our left leg, coming down to triangle pose. Keeping our chest towards the right of the room, opening up, triangle. Bringing our hands to the mat, lowering our right knee down, bringing our left knee to meet it. And you can use your blocks here to get yourself up, or you can just rise up. Keeping our hips forward. Taking our left arm, rising it up, reaching back towards our heel. Taking our right arm, lifting it up, extending. We're in halfway camel. Bringing our hips forward. Opening our heart. Breathing into our sides. Bringing our right arm to our hip, rising up. Opening our knees, coming back to child's pose. Extending our arms forward. Inhale, coming to hands and knees, lifting the hips, downward facing dog. Checking with our shoulders, making sure that they're staying close to our ears. Breathing. Again, stepping 1 foot at a time to the front of our mat. When we get to the front of our mat, taking our hands, placing them underneath so that we step onto the palms of our hands. Forward folding. Releasing our back, releasing our breath. Releasing our hands, bringing our hands to our hips, rising up. All right, guys. We're at that fun part of our class where we're gonna work on our peak pose today. And like I said, we've been working through our heart opening throughout this class. So today our peak pose is our wheel pose. I'm gonna give a modification of the bridge pose in case wheel is not in your practice or you've never been exposed to wheel before. It could be a big jump. So bridge is a good bridge. So we're gonna come to our backs. We're gonna keep our hips. If the ceiling was the front, we're gonna keep our hips facing upwards towards the ceiling. And take our feet mat width apart, or hip width apart, I should say, not mat width. That could be a little too wide, but yeah, I think yeah, we're gonna keep our hips in line. So connecting our feet into the ground, so you should really be pushing here. This is not a lazy pose just to lift your hips. You really want to be pushing down into your feet, connecting those feet and those heels to the ground. You can check in with yourself. Sometimes a good measurement is taking your hands by your side and touching your heels. Yeah, so we're gonna press into the ground and we're gonna lift our hips up. This is wheel pose, bridge pose. Now working on our, the way we've been extending our arms, you can clasp your hands behind your bridge pose and you can extend here. Pushing our shoulders into the ground, pushing our heels into the ground. And you can release. If you're going to take wheel today, I suggest that we do bridge one more time. So again, pushing our heels into the ground, rising our hips up. Really pushing into our heels here. You can connect your arms. And release. You can continue with that bridge. You can work on it. you want to explore it, maybe, lift a leg up here or lift a leg up there within your bridge. You can explore wherever you want to go right now. But I'm going to get to the peak pose, which is wheel. So again, the same concept, keeping our heels into the mat, bringing our hips up. Now we're going to take our hands and we're going to connect them by our ears so that our elbows are facing up towards the sky as well. And when we rise, we're going to open up our heart, open up the sides of our body. And this really should be coming within your heels and in with your chest. This is not your arms. This is a heart opener, a side body opener. And release. Feel free to take another breath here, another turn, another shot at the wheel right now, another shot at the bridge, whatever you need right now, whatever your body's calling for. Just feel free to be there with it. If not, if you're done, like I feel done, we can take our knees to our chest. We can hold our knees here and we can rock side to side. Just thanking ourselves, creating this little ball of love for opening our chest, for opening our hearts, for breathing into the sides of our body. Our body does so much for us on a daily basis, so much that we don't even know about. So we're just really being thankful for what we have. Taking our peace fingers, or just grabbing the sides of your feet and extending your legs to the sky. We find ourselves in a happy baby. Rocking our baby side to side. Bringing our knees back to our chest. Taking our left leg, lowering it down to the mat. Taking our right knee, bringing it across the mat. Giving ourselves a twist here. You can open up this right arm and look towards the right on this twist. Breathing. Bringing our right leg across, dropping our right leg to the mat, taking our left leg, pulling that across, extending our left arm, turning our head towards the left arm. We're in a twist. Bringing our left leg back to the mat. Taking any last movement, position, anything you need right now, anything your body's calling for. I just want you to take a moment to listen to that and to be with that and to acknowledge that. And when you're ready, I'd like you to join us in a Shavasana position. Taking your time to get there, not to rush. Hands by our side, facing the sky. Just opening our heart, opening our chest. Finding ourselves in our last pose of the day. Shavasana. Inhaling through our nose. Exhaling. One last inhale. Pausing at the top. And on this exhale, just releasing through our mouth. One more deep breath, just like that. Inhale, pause at the top, and exhale through your mouth. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Shavasana. Beginning to deepen our breath. Beginning to bring some light movement into our fingers, into our toes, into our hands, into our feet. Beginning to waking up from our Shavasana, from this rest, from our pause. Moving our arms, moving our legs. Keeping our right arm on the ground, bringing our body to our right side, resting upon our hands like a little baby. Beginning to wake up, taking our left arm, connecting it to the ground, rising up to a seated position. Keeping our eyes soft or closed when we get to the seated position. Our legs cross, our heart open, connecting our finger, our ring, our index finger to our thumb. Connecting to our breath. Beginning to notice what our practice has brought to us today. Did you open your heart? Did you think about opening your heart? Do you want to continue to open your heart? Bringing our hands to chest, heart center, connected lightly. This has been the most fabulous journey, and it's only the beginning. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I'm so thankful for the group I was surrounded by. I'm so thankful for my mentor, Joanna. I'm so thankful for my teacher, Matt, Rebecca, Bo. I'm so thankful to call myself a yoga teacher and to have this opportunity to teach you. Bowing into our heart center. The light in me shines to the light in you. Namaste.